welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be talking about a phenomenon that really bothers me. It's something that we definitely recognize, but it seems that we have no qualms about it. It's kind of a behavior that we as a society have just come to accept, but it's lame. It's whack. We need to learn how to identify it and how to discard it, replace it with something more useful to us. The phenomenon that I'm talking about is what I call performative femininity. And just by uttering those words, I'm sure that through your mind's eye, there came a shadowy compilation of images representing this woman. Images of the performative female, her gestures, her clothes, the way that she talks. This woman is a lie, a mock female, a parody of true femininity. And I'm not talking about drag queens or trans women or anything like that. I'm talking about any regular woman that uses pseudo-femininity as a medium for acquiring validation, status, or relief from her own feminine condition. Performative femininity debases women. It reduces them to their actions, to their goals, their desires. And it does not respect the necessary feminine art of being, of just purely existing without the accompaniment of another. Now, I would like to get a little bit more philosophical about this, and I would like to define the word performative. Performative, as I have defined it, constitutes an ephemeral and inauthentic channeling of feminine behavior in order to gain the favor of others, typically men. When it is done around women, its nature is competitive. A woman who performs femininity lacks a true connection with the feminine and superimposes a feminine archetype to ease her insecurities. Someone who performs femininity is unable to accept themselves or embrace solitude. They seek cheap external validation and never achieve true fulfillment or contentment. That is what I mean by performative. We're going to go into it. This pseudo-femininity, this performative femininity and its gospel are being preached all over the goddamn internet. How to be more feminine, how to be a high-value woman, feminine traits to adopt now, feminine dating techniques. I mean, here I focus on rhetoric, and rhetoric can be tricky. But all the rhetoric here, these words all sound, yes, very clickbaity, but they also have this kind of like get it now ethos of 1950s consumerism. They all sound like advertisements. It's weird. Now, I'll never sit here and say that these videos are not successful at teaching methods that get you what you want. Let's say that thing that you want is companionship. And companionship is good, you know? I think everybody should want companionship. That's great. But even with the educational nature of these videos, they are not putting nearly as much emphasis on inner development and its translation to the external world. And inner development is everything when it comes to femininity. Inner development is encompassed by the passive quality of being feminine. And if you want to know what I mean by passive, there's a wonderful video that I have done that explains everything about it. And hint, who would have thought passivity is not a bad thing? And it's definitely not what you think it is. The video is above. I will also reference it later. I have heard in comments on my channel that this community of women have very, very little interest in using feminine qualities outside of dating or getting a man. As I have said in another video of mine, the self-seduction video where I talk about Dita Von Teese and her outlook on life. If you are feminine in order to gain something, let's say it's to attract a man, at the end of the day, your femininity is artificial. It lies outside of the self. Your efforts, your energy are all external. It does not circle and recycle within you at all. The example in the video I used specifically was with lingerie. If you're wearing lingerie because you know that you're about to do something special with this guy tonight, you're wearing it more for that man than you are wearing it for yourself. It shows more respect for him and the occasion than it shows for you. I proposed the way that Dita Von Teese did, that you should let's say, wear lingerie in order to honor yourself, your femininity daily, not for single instances like that. You shouldn't wear it for another person to get something. And I think it's funny that all of these videos talk about receiving, talk about men coming to you, and all I hear in these videos is the actions, the steps that you must take forward, the provocativeness of it, that you should just do certain things so you will get in return something. You are adopting feminine characteristics to accomplish an external mission. You're not letting anything happen to you. And you're certainly not honoring the ritual of being a woman by doing that. Basically, performative femininity is used as a tool. It's not a way of being, which is the complete opposite of being receptive, passive, inward, that energy that the principle of femininity itself is based on. And performatism, I have created that word and I am using it here so I don't have to continue saying performative femininity throughout this entire video. Performatism at its worst bears your insecurities like a brand. Nothing is more obvious and more desperate than vying for a man's attention and using stereotypical feminine characteristics as bait. This is the 21st century. We as women are defined outside of a useful set of attributes. I mean, it's like we're functional modular furniture. Is that what you want to be? Functional? There is still a mass culture of women. I mean, I would say a lot of women still do this, using femininity as a way to get a man. I mean, even if you get him, then what? You dispose of your costume, or worse, you continue this charade so that you can keep the guy? I mean, are we playing house? What happened to complexity? What happened to being unpredictable and being a source of inspiration, being true to yourself, being individualistic? We have women out here telling other women to be subservient in order to get what they want. So I guess it doesn't matter if you have the man that you always wanted by using these attributes to your advantage. It sounds like we're still intermingling desire and compromise. On this channel, and anyone who has ever followed me for a while, who has subscribed for a while, will know that as a woman, you are the embodiment of the sacred unknown. And that alone, embodying that, it's hard, but that alone, when you get it right, will have legions of men swooning in the direction of your perfume. There's an art to it, but there's also indifference to it as well. It's not something that you do or perform. Femininity and being a woman that gets what she wants cannot be reduced to a finite set of qualities. It's a way of life. Your allure is not reduced to efficacy, because being feminine is about being self-sufficient. It is about being what they used to call virginal. Virginal being one in herself, or one in yourself, based on the goddesses who birthed the universe without the help of a male god, who through self-fecundation called the world into being. If you were really receptive or let men come to you, you wouldn't be thinking about what you were doing at all. You just are, just like nature is. What I do not like about performatism is it is a false representation, or it uses a false representation of femininity. And two, it is performance without soul. And I'll get to what that means in a moment. But this whole idea of this false representation of femininity, these stereotypical traits that these women are advertising have absolutely no connection to the true nature of the feminine. Their view of femininity is reductive, it's stereotypical, at times patriarchal even, and it does not respect or consider pure femininity or its complexities, like our association with the unknown or the brutality, the uncanniness of Mother Nature. And if you want to know more about this, because I can't put everything in this video, of course, I have a video to preface this one where I talk about misconceptions about femininity and then in turn what femininity really is about. Now the second thing is this whole performance without soul. Femininity is theater. And I like to use theater and not performative, which is they belong to the same category, the same vocabulary, but I'm using performative in a certain way and I'm using theatrical or theater in a certain way. Femininity is theater, but it's for theater's sake. It's not an act that you put on to provoke a reaction. Theater is a representation of our divine mystery, the act of the opening of the curtains and closing, of spotlights, of shadows, of deciding when someone sees something, the trap doors. That's what it represents. Performatism is theater used to conform. It's used for the pleasure of men, which is devoid of any real connection to the solitary instinct of the feminine. The woman who performs is not one in herself, is not virginal. And she doesn't practice solitude in the ritualistic way in which she should. And let's say she does say, like, because there's a lot of women today, oh, I just want to be alone. A lot of women do like to be alone, but I feel that it's for a very different reason. It's not women that flake on plans and women that like to sit home in their bathtub and like watch Netflix series all day. She doesn't understand its crucial integration in her life, in the life of a woman. This woman will often look at solitude as a place of refuge, as this liminal space of relief, not as a palace of creation and self-enrichment. They're looking at solitude in the wrong way. This type of woman you'll often see take her bra off and fling it into the corner and just flop down onto the couch and thank God I'm home. Thank God I can relax. And this idea, this kind of leads me into my final point of how to tell when femininity is performative, and it's pretty easy. You can tell when a woman releases at the end of the day, when she is no longer under societal pressure. She releases when she feels relaxed, when she feels that she doesn't need to perform anymore. This can be seen most frequently in front of close friends, or even worse, in front of their lover after the honeymoon phase, when they do not feel that they need to perform anymore in order to get someone because they already have them. They kind of just let it all loose after that. Femininity is supposed to be something you engage in for yourself, not for other people. You should take great pride and pleasure in it. It's something that happens naturally, whether or not you're out in the world or you're laying in bed. Being a woman is a lifestyle. It is a sacred ritual for honoring yourself and honoring all of the women that preceded you and will succeed you. Now, I left the defining of femininity and its principles vague because I already described it at length in another video of mine. Here it is again, up here. So I implore all of you to watch it, especially if you're here at the end of this video and you've listened to me talk for this long. I am definitely pleased to have maintained your attention. Thank you for being here. But that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you see what I'm talking about and how silly it is and how unfulfilling these kinds of educational videos are. I find them so strange too. And the reason why I did this video was because of some of these comments that brought this kind of behavior to light for me. It's a simple way of living. And I understand why a lot of people continue to engage in performative femininity because they don't want to put in the actual work, I guess. Even though when you do put in the work, something really, really wonderful is to be achieved. I think that pure femininity and understanding what that means and actively pursuing it has a much greater reward and it's way more fun. And you learn so much more about yourself and you realize that being a woman entails being a very complex and fascinating creature. I think it's worth the effort. So I think all this performatism is whack. I think it's bullshit. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe, of course, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.